I am so tired of hearing about unaliving and pew-pews and sewer sliding and things like this all over the place. It drives me crazy that we cannot just use plain English language for stuff. And people insist when you do that, you get demonetized on YouTube, your videos get taken down, you get shadow banned, whatever. Now, I've made videos on this channel that talk about mature subjects before, and I've only ever been demonetized once. We'll get into that. But when I push back on people, they always tell me that they do this because it's the only way to upload on YouTube, and if you don't do this, you get censored and you get suppressed. So, I thought using my only monetized YouTube channel, I would go ahead and put this to the test. I want to say a bunch of stuff that people say that you can't say on YouTube, and we'll see where this video ends up. We'll see if it ends up monetized and fully enabled, or if it ends up limited or totally taken down, and we'll go from there. Now, I'm not going to say any swear words. I'm not going to say any slurs. I'm not going to use any sexual violence words because I don't think that's necessary, and my intention is not to shock people. We're going to talk about plain, everyday language that describes events that happen in the real world that people insist that you can't say. Now, part of my theory is that some of this is context, that YouTube reading the transcripts and things like that, they read the context of the words you say. So they might take a word that's used in a threatening context and limit that. But if it's used in a normal educational context, then it should be okay. This is the theory. So I'm not going to just say a list of words. What I did is I wrote a short script that includes a bunch of words that people are afraid of. I'm going to read the script off, and then somewhere up on these sides, I'm going to include a counter of the euphemisms that we did not use and the real words that we did say, and we'll see how the video goes. So stay tuned if you'd like to see that. I will drop in the comments, maybe do a follow-up video, depending on what we see here. But it's time to find out so that we can have some evidence. And if we can dispel these myths, maybe we can stop some of these superstitions that are literally reorganizing our language in the way that people speak. So here we go. Throughout my time on this channel, I've never shied away from potentially challenging subjects. I never seek to dramatize for the purpose of being shocking, but simply to talk about things that happen in our world with a straight face, without dancing around them. I've only been demonetized once, and in that video I showed an actual picture of a severed arm from a drone strike. I think that's fair enough. I indeed displayed graphic material, even if in an educational context. But I've never been demonetized for a word. That's why it's so surprising to me that so many people today think there are words you can't say without being demonetized. I've talked about this on my other platforms, but it's been a few years since I uploaded videos. Maybe the situation has changed. So, since this is my only monetized channel, I decided I'd run an experiment. We'll use a bunch of words that people seem to avoid these days in favor of overly sanitized words, such as unalived and pew-pews, and then I'll report back on it if it affects my monetization. I'm not going to use any swear words or any words about sexual violence, but we're going to use some words that talk about mature subject matter in a way they should plainly be able to be discussed. Those of you who are familiar with prior videos on the channel probably know some of the topics we've talked about. We've talked about people killed in a number of ways, some by diseases, some assassinated by gun or by drone, some who could hypothetically die through infrastructure sabotage in a terrorist attack. Because this is the real world. People die from things. They get shot and stabbed. We shouldn't be afraid to say that. Some people are afraid to mention historical figures in their appropriate context, and instead prefer to discuss the mustache man or the H-man. I don't see why we shouldn't be able to. After all, I've talked about Emperor Hirohito in World War II and Unit 731, the secret unit that performed many human rights violations on prisoners such as torture and human experimentation. Why should we not be able to talk about another group during the same time period who also performed atrocities? Hitler and his Nazis are not Voldemort. They were a real group of people manifesting evil in the world, and we should learn to recognize such actions and deeds, not recoil at a name. So I don't know what the outcome will be. I'm going to stitch this video together, release it, and see where the monetization lands. If I'm right, as everything is used in a sincere and educational context here, the video should be untouched. If I'm wrong and this video does end up limited, then it will support the need for a broader conversation on both demanding more access to freedom of everyday language to discuss real events in a well-intentioned, informative context, and in choosing to do so even if the consequences on creators are financial. Thank you for your time.